What's up guys, Chris VA Travels. I'm out here in Orange County, the Piedmont region of the state, possibly the most beautiful portion of the state. And I'm going to visit the family home of Zachary Taylor. He never actually lived here, but family home called Bloomsbury. And first off, I want to thank Frank Stein for letting me come out. Yeah, Shauna is going to give a tour of the inside. But first just wanted to walk around, show this place off. To give you some of the history, this land was first granted to James Taylor II in 1722. They originally thought the house was built, the original portion of the house was built in 1722, but they recently did some dendrochronology work, looking at the tree ring data, and it was built shortly after that. And yeah, he would be the great-grandfather of Zachary Taylor. He is also the great-grandfather of James Madison. James Madison is second cousins to Zachary Taylor. And he is also, I want to say, great-grandfather. He's one of the greats to James Polk, actually. So 3 presidents fall underneath him. And nothing's too distinct on it architecturally. Check out those dormers out there, and pretty basic kind of French doors right there. But yeah, just a clapboard house. And many add-ons, as you'll see. Oh, I'm sorry, and I should mention that they think it was actually James Taylor III that ended up building the house. Like I said, land was acquired by James Taylor II, but they think it was his son who ended up building the first portion of the house. Several Taylors lived in the house up until 1797, and then William Quarles purchased the house, and he did a lot of these upgrades. He had these little lean-tos on the side, these little kind of wings, I guess, sort of on the left and right. You see it's on a stone foundation. Okay, a little stoop right there. Small little porch. Then we fast forward to 1842, and then Francis Jourdain acquired the house. So he owned it through the Civil War. Family lived in the house for 100 years. All right, you see a little terrace going down, a little green right there. And I saw online, they think this is maybe where the gardens were. They're not 100% sure. Several outbuildings. Okay, so a little shed over here. Oh, yeah, check out these homemade hinges. I always like to check those out. Big old chimney busting out of that lean-to right there. Oh, now I should mention the reason James Taylor II was granted this land is because he was a part of Alexander Spotswood's Knights of the Golden Horseshoe expedition, where they charted out, they went to the Shenandoah Valley, charted everything out. And let me just stick my my head in here real quick. Okay, so a little step up, kind of stairs slash ladder. You see how these are jointed right here? No nails. I'll tell you, he was also a surveyor. He drew the lines for Spotsylvania, Caroline, and Orange County. And then also, when James Taylor III acquired the land from his father, he acquired a nearby estate called Sylvania, merged the two, and that's what became Bloomsbury. And this thing was about 1,400 acres at its peak, and now it's down to about 355. And yeah, beautiful property. Okay, so, all right, I think I've done my walk around. And let me walk back here. There's a little little map of the property. Unfortunately, they don't know where the slave quarters were. Okay, here we go. Yeah, like I say, a lot of outbuildings. I'll let you, I'll hover over, let you pause and read. Okay, so a schoolhouse. Yeah, that sunken garden over there. A bathhouse, dairy, orangery, and yeah, the family cemetery. So yeah, here we go. Family cemetery back there. Okay, they think maybe the slave house is, this is saying, okay, so possibly they have an idea of where they're at. yeah, so kitchen right there. And, which I think would be right behind, yeah, right there. So 1011, okay, so the bathhouse in the dairy over there. And yeah, you can pause and read. It's pretty much the information. Yeah, so like I say, James III purchased the property known as Sylvania from the Talaferros, and they're one of the family's Italian descent. Yeah, oddly enough. Okay, just gonna take a little walk around the property. Oh, and I'll let you know that this was briefly a Confederate headquarters. Jefferson Davis stayed here for about 5 days. Robert E. Lee visited just about every day while he was here. And the Confederates headquartered about a mile from here. I guess that would be after Mine Run through the winter of '63 until '64. And right before the big Overland campaign, the beginning of the end. All right, so I wonder if this is, see a lot of corn over here. Just real quick, I'm just gonna check out this view and just give myself a minute. Just want to tell you Zachary Taylor's history here in Orange County. Like I say, it's ancestral home right there of the Taylors. He was actually born at Montebello in Gordonsville, still here in Orange County, not too far away. Actually, is there something over here to look at? Yeah, and the story with that is he only lived here a few months. That his father, Richard Taylor, lived at a place called Hare Forest Plantation. That's H-A-R-E, Hare. And they were packed up, set to go to Louisville, Kentucky, which is kind of odd if your wife's X amount of months pregnant, 8-9 months pregnant. Yeah, so as soon as they started their journey, the family became ill. They stopped off at Montebello. That's where Zachary Taylor was born. They lived here, I've heard the numbers kind of vary. A few months, I've heard up to 9 months. I've actually heard somewhere just a couple weeks. Yeah, until they were recovered and they went up. He grew up in Kentucky. Kentucky's what he's most associated with. And then as an adult, he was, of course, a military general, War of 1812, Black Hawk Wars, Seminole Wars. Lived in Louisiana for a while. But yeah, Kentucky is home. That's where he's buried. So that's the quick history on Zachary Taylor. And I don't know what this is. There's no face unless this is, I'm sorry, there's nothing written on it. Okay, so family history, like to say the Jordones, 1842, purchased the property. So it looks like their family history, and pretty cool. Rosettes on each side. And obviously this is more of a modern, headstone. So yeah, all passed away. 1800s, except for Frank, 1923, and then Lucy Mary Robinson. Oh, and the Confederate encampment was right back that way. So yeah, that's where Robert Lee was hanging out. And there is a marker back there, and they said they're not sure where it's at. They have to re-find it. I'm tempted to just drive back there, but they said you have to take a few turns down a couple trails. So when they do find it, I'm going to come back out here and take a look at it. Okay, so let me walk on up, go ahead and take the house tour. And a big walnut tree right here, pretty cool. Yeah, so we're on the Bowling Green right now, which may have been the garden at the time. But yeah, there's a lot to still be discovered. So yeah, they're still doing research on this place. And I did a quick walkthrough, and I'll let you know you guys are in for a treat. There are a lot of great furnishings in there, so this is gonna be pretty cool. Yeah, and Shauna's gonna give the tour, so.
What we're walking into right now is considered it's set up as a dining room. So this would have been the Taylor dining room, but this room could have also been used for lots of other things. It could have been used for extra sleeping quarters when it was too hot to sleep upstairs. It could have been used for storage. They did, when they pulled the plaster off the wall here, there was actually, they found an original door that had been covered over sometime in the 1800s that opens up to the Great Hall. So, you know, but it had been plastered over probably to lend itself for more privacy here. So, and you can see these corner fireplaces. They went out of style in the early 19th century, but they are probably, you know, they date themselves back to early 1700s, but in this house we do know for sure it was 1752 to 1755. One thing that's very unique about this home as well is there's so much built-in storage throughout the house. And so there's storage on either sides of the fireplace. We'll see them in the other room as well. We've got the English brick fireplace here. So this room would have been used for lots of purposes, but dining, you know, at that time was a pretty formal affair. You know, everyone sat around. You would have had servants. This room here is original to the first structure. There was no sign of a door actually being there before the addition was put on. This would have been used sort of like a pantry, or for the servants to serve the family during meals. So the window is original. The door would not have been there initially, and this is what they would have used as what they called like a servant's pantry. This is where the food would have come in and out, dishes and that sort of thing. You can see here on the wall we have the Taylor family crest.
Oh, cool picture of Zachary.
So, you know, the timeline with this house is 1722. James Taylor II received the land patent from the king. And then when he passed away, the house was inherited by James Taylor III. And then in 1784, it went to the hands of James Taylor IV. All of the pieces in this home were personally curated by Helen Marie Taylor when this home was given to her. The way Mrs. Taylor came in, you know, this home came back to the Taylor family, was her husband, Jacqueline Taylor, actually repurchased the home back in 1960 and gave it to her as a wedding gift. So every piece in this house has been handpicked by Mrs. Taylor, and they're all original to the time period. Some of the pieces in this home actually date back to the late 1600s. And this was sort of her personal museum before it was open for tours. She handpicked every piece. These were all her pieces. This is an interesting piece here as well. This would have been like a bar. This was a bar cart. You could pull it forward, and a servant could stand behind it and serve your guests. Yes, so it would rotate this way. That way there's no reaching over. And they could decant your spirits from here. It's truly a beautiful home. We've got 11-foot ceilings. All of the crown molding you're going to see in here, all of the base, all original to the home. And the room we're walking into next, this would have been called the Great Hall. And calling it the Great Hall wasn't so much because of its size, but this is where family entertainment would have taken place, balls would have taken place. And again, we have the corner fireplace. And again, we also have this built-in storage. You know, so this was unique to the home. There's so much built-in storage in this home that this pianoforte dates back to the late 1600s as well.
Lots of getting here.
Yeah, definitely. And again, every piece was hand curated. Chess set, early 1700s, imported from China. This is a tea table. And then of course we have this beautiful portrait of President James Madison. And this portrait here is valued between $30,000 and $60,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Another very interesting piece in this room is this double violin case. I'll go ahead and open it up for you. This is an extremely rare piece. Mrs. Taylor was able to procure it. Extremely rare piece. Dates back to the early 1700s. And there's a funny story in in Mrs. Taylor's notes on Bloomsbury that she wrote herself, where she says that, she went into an antique shop in Richmond and the man who owned the place told her that it wasn't for sale. And Mrs. Taylor was a good talker, and she was able to procure it. So as this room would have been used for balls, if you note here, this unique staircase. And this was also called the gallery up on these stairs here. And as you can see, there's enough room for 3 to 4 musicians to be up in the gallery playing music while guests were down here dancing, or, and again, with these doors open and, the breeze going through, it would have been quite comfortable in here. And these closets are when the Department of Historic Resources, did the study on this house, the man that did it said that he had not seen these types of understair closets in any early Virginia colonial homes until he had come here. So family lore states that one of these closets, this one specifically, would have been used to, this was the spirit closet. This would have been used to decant spirits for guests. To store, this would, or even for the dining room, this would have been, where your liquor would have been stored, or. This was what was the powder room. And do you know where the term powder room came from initially?
Powder wigs.
Yep, so you could go in here and repowder your wig if needed, if you were here as a guest. And we have an etching here of George II on the wall as well. That's an original piece. So as we go back through to the dining room here, as I said, you can see over here into the newest edition, and this would have been the Quarles edition. And the Quarles this was their study, not a library so much as a study. And this room also could have been used as extra sleeping quarters, storage. It could have been used for numerous things. We have it set up as a study right now. William Quarles obtained the property in 1797, and he put the addition on in approximately 1800. So you can see the wall here and the window from the original structure, the 1750s structure as well. And you see here is it's not a corner fireplace, because now that's gone out of style a bit. So we have, this is an 1800s addition. So, and note the built-in storage all throughout. So this was sometimes set up for dining if they had extra guests. And this is the most spectacular view. Can you imagine, walking out to see this view? I can just see, William Quarles' wife, standing there in, the big 1800s dress. And this house saw Revolutionary War history. This house saw Civil War history. I mean, it's just, it's really a testament to Virginia's, endurance. As we come up on the 250th anniversary, this house sits as a living testament to Virginia's strength and endurance. And the only heat in this room here, of course, would have been the fireplace. But one thing that was great about these houses, with all of the doors, is by closing doors off, you could keep rooms warmer.
Okay, that's Sir Erasmus Taylor. He is the son of James Taylor II, who had the original land patent here in 1722. His son, Robert Taylor, married Frances Pendleton, whose painting's in the other room, from the Pendleton family. And I don't know his birth and death dates off the top of my head, but.
So the Quarles family had the property from 1797 to approximately 1842. And then the property went over to the, Francis Jerdone had the property from 1842 to 1874. And all of what we're in right now was the addition that was added by the Quarles family in the early 1800s. So this that we're walking into, we have, it's the setup is like the Quarles sitting room, or it was also their dining room. Again, note the built-in storage. And by closing this door, you could keep this room quite warm. And this was the outer chamber. So what we would have had back here behind this door, which was enclosed during the 1960s renovation to put indoor plumbing, that was the inner chamber of their sitting area. So it's a bathroom now, but this is would have been enclosed in 1960, but it would have been part of this chamber as well. If you go in, watch your step, you step down. And this was done during the 1960s renovation. It's my understanding there was not indoor plumbing in here until then, but there was a family living here until the 1960s when Mr. Taylor bought it. A beautiful, beautiful late 1700s daybed here.
Yeah.
You could lay this back. Some people call them a fainting couch. This chair is one of my favorite pieces in the house. It's a beautiful piece, but I really love it because if you come over here, this is all hand embroidered, but if you come over here, Catherine, who embroidered it, she left her mark, 1848. Isn't that beautiful? This is a beautiful piece worth noting. This is Lee's order of surrender, and Norman Bell wrote this order. He was too young to fight, but because of his penmanship, he wrote Robert E. Lee's surrender order number 9. And because there weren't copy machines, so it would have been continually rewritten. So this is his surrender number 9.
Camped out on the property.
So he camped out. So Robert E. Lee's camp was in the town of Orange. Stonewall Jackson would have taken the Gordonsville side of the county at that point. So up by the Exchange, that was where Jackson's camp was, and Robert E. Lee was centered in town. And so, but Lee did visit here daily while Jefferson Davis stayed here. And in fact, one of the Jerdone daughters, they have found that she wrote to Lee at least 3 times, and he responded 3 times. And so he wrote back to her, and it was actually, it was the New Year's that he was in Petersburg, 1865, and he wrote back to Mary Jerdone and thanked her for her New Year's gift. And he wrote a very nice letter and said, he didn't know what else to send her, but that he was going to send her a picture, and maybe it would keep all of those young boys that wanted to take her away on horseback away. But he thanked her for, for her kindness and for the New Year's gift that she had sent him. So that was pretty neat. So we do know that Lee was here, and when we go upstairs, I'm going to show you where Jefferson Davis actually slept when he was here, and that's an interesting story as well. So as we go up, we're heading up to the original master suite. So this room right now is set up as, you might call it a children's bedroom, or, extra guest bed, but this probably was the Taylor master bedroom. And the reason why we think that is, which I'll show you in another room, is the baby's room. It was common for an infant to sleep close to their mother early in life, but it's also possible that the servant, that indentured or slave that took care of the children, would have slept up here as well with the children. We do know that there were quarters on the property. We just haven't been able to definitively locate them. And there is a historian that's actually working on naming the slaves that were here through the trust. And that's a project that we're working on, which I'm really excited about. All of this would have been hand crocheted, all of this. And this would have been where the only heated part of this area. So you would have closed the door to keep it warm if the baby were in here. This leads up to the attic. We don't go up there, but it's possible that besides storing things, that servants could have slept up there as well. It's under the stairs storage. And so here we have the nursery. Again, it would have been common for an infant in the first year of life to sleep close to either the caretaker or the mother at the time. You see this little baby shoe here. This was found during the renovation. There's some family lore that, I guess putting shoes in the walls was some sort of good luck, and you'll often find that. And in fact, another property that was Mrs. Taylor's, which is being restored, Berry Hill, the historic preservationist actually found a shoe in the wall. Which, being the history nerd that I am, I look at this and think, oh, whose tiny little foot was this on, But again, it's with this Georgian architecture, the design It reflects both the practical needs as well as the stylistic trends from British influence. Most homes built when this house was built would have been rough-hewn log. So this was not your average, you know, farmhouse. This was definitely much more elegant than most homes of the time. Most early colonial homes were rough-hewn log homes. Now we can cross over to the original portion of the house so I can show you the original sleeping quarters as well. Go ahead. This porch at some point had been completely enclosed, and when Mrs. Taylor did the renovations, she brought it back to its original. But again, you know, I look at this view and I just think, you know, how amazing would it have been? And the tree line on this property actually, so, you know, where you go to 522, or I'm sorry, Route 20, which is Route 20 now, the tree line marks the original Swift Gap Turnpike line that would have come through here, and it was a direct line to Fredericksburg from here. We'll go back to the original portion of the home. So as I mentioned earlier, this staircase is quite unique. It goes up at a fairly steep, so as we walk, watch your step. It goes up at, you know, straight up and then makes a sharp 90-degree angle, but it lent itself to this gallery up here for, you know, musicians during gatherings. So as we go up now, we're going to up to the original sleeping quarters here in the home. And I'll walk up here. One thing worth noting above the stairs here is the double violin holder in that closet there. And again, this would have been, so if you imagine musicians here, you know, 3, 4, playing music while guests were downstairs having a ball, dancing, or just even a small gathering. These were the original 3 upstairs bedrooms here. The beds all seem so small. But of course, back then, you know, it was common to sleep almost upright. It was meant to be. Have you ever seen Thomas Jefferson's bed out on a, yeah, you know, like, and you wouldn't have had a heat source in these rooms either. Yeah. They definitely made use of every space that they had. You know, if you think about modern homes, we have so much wasted space. Again, with the built-in storage in the walls here behind you, under the eaves. A little dark in here. This is another favorite room of mine here. This is the room that Jefferson Davis slept in. So during the fall of 1863, excuse me, Jefferson Davis was here in the town of Orange. There had been some skirmishes going on nearby. And so Jefferson Davis, the family was told, the Quarles' family was told, Robert E. Lee came here and asked them if they could house a special guest during his stay here in Orange. They weren't told who would be coming, but it was Jefferson Davis and his security detail that actually showed up here, and he did stay here for a period of time, and while he was here, R.A. Lee visited daily. And so, Jefferson Davis, he had a distant connection to Bloomsbury that he may not have been aware of. His first wife, Sarah Knox, who was the daughter of Zachary Taylor the first, was also the great-grandson of James Taylor II, the great-nephew of James Taylor III. So he may not have realized it, but his first wife had died 3 months into the marriage of malaria, and I'm not sure if he realized when he came here that, and it's important to note that this house has a connection to 3 presidents: James Madison, Zachary Taylor, and James Polk, because they were all distant cousins. Bloomsbury's history is very intertwined with Virginia history from Revolutionary War on. The house witnessed the growth of Orange County and the broader region. Virginia was a crucial player during the Revolutionary War. So, like I said, as we come up on the 250th of our state, I see this as a testament to Virginia's strength and spirit, and something to be proud of. There's just so much, right? Can you believe she did all of this on her own? It's amazing. You've got the mirror here with the shaving bowl. I'll step out of your way so you can film the pieces. And these clothing pieces are just a small part of a huge collection that we have. And to hearken to Paris's Fashion Week in February, we're going to do like a Fashion Week temporary exhibit at the museum with all of our period pieces. But this home is absolutely stunning. We're walking down here into what would have been the wine storage area. And so this is where they would have kept the wine cask. It's like the wine cellar, root vegetables, that sort of thing. But it would have been nice and cool down here. And again, this is part of the 1800 addition. This is not original to the home. So this was a fully functional plantation. Everything they needed, they grew here. So it's possible that they did, or they purchased from near, but they definitely, this was a self-sustaining plantation. There was ornamental gardens, but the sunken garden, but there was also, medicinal as well as food garden. So this was a self-sustaining plantation, and all of these points were, these arrowheads and all were found on the property here. And these bottles were in the attic, the bitters. These storage pieces here are original to the property. And of course this would have been locked, only certain people would have had the key. And this main area here would have been used for more like vegetable storage, food storage, pantry items. As you probably know, Chris, you know, most homes had the kitchens built separately from the house. So, you know, for lots of reasons, you know, not so the house didn't smell, it wasn't considered proper for homes to smell like cooking food, also the fire safety. And this would have been the kitchen during the Quarles' ownership of the home. So this dates back to the 1800s. Full kitchen here. It's very possible those who were enslaved here or indentured servants would have eaten down here. Some would have slept down here. This would have been a warm place to be during the winter for sure. Notice the difference in the hearth down here because you needed room for cooking as opposed to a hearth just used for ornamental or heating. You notice it's all brick here, and during your studies you've probably seen this. They could have pulled coals out a little bit and set, so you had your main heat source, but almost like burners, you know, like when you cook at home. They could have pulled some of the coals out. They would have had trivets, and you know, if they needed something at a simmer as opposed to a boil, and kept things warm that way as well. And for a basement kitchen, this does actually get a good bit of light. So the food would have been brought up into the home, and then the servants' pantry that I showed you off of the dining room is where they would have served from.
Back here in the little graveyard, little cemetery, and in memory of Nancy, wife of Dr. Peter Johnson. Wow, died 1854, aged 48. Pretty nice obelisk. Yeah. And there were 3 Taylors buried back here and several Quarles. And like I say, they acquired the land 1797. Okay, passed away 1834, William Quarles. Would this be wife Lucy, born 1775? Oh, here's a really old headstone in the footstone back here. Yeah, that one is, oh, it looks like maybe somebody chipped part of the face. You see it faded on the side, but, All right, and I'm not sure if this is, what this is supposed to be, but
That's supposed to be like a monument to the Taylors.
right.
James Taylor III is buried here along with his wife and his son James Taylor IV. James Taylor III is the builder of Bloomsbury.
Right, okay. Cool. All right, well, a quick little tour of giant cedar, and that's kind of, you see that a lot in graveyards for whatever reason. They like to plant cedars. And nice little wrought iron fence. Cool. So that's it for my extensive tour of Bloomsbury. Wow, what a great place. I would highly recommend coming out to visit. Yeah, a lot of good furnishings on the inside. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna see if I can fly my drone. I'm a little scared with this wind, but Yeah, and then I'm gonna get out of here. So, oh, you can follow me on Instagram. I do have a Facebook page, you can hop on there. I just started it, so it's gonna take me a while to get warmed up to it. So you can search VA Travels. And to let you know, I've got an imposter. There's a fake VA Travels page. Somebody set it up like a year ago. So when you search, I'm the capital letters VA Travels. And I have my newer logo. It's the same logo that you'll see on YouTube. I try to change things up. Yeah, guys, so like and subscribe, and see you on the next one.